Why are you so naughty? Good morning. This is Sally Morgan, physical therapist, craniosacral therapist, and Tellington T-Touch practitioner for animals and people. This is Tristan. He's a Corgi, and we're here for an episode of Conversations with a Corgi. We've already had a very tragic, dramatic AM here. As I sat down, there was a thing on the floor, which I picked up. It was yet another dead ladybug. And I hate how they smell so much. It's almost like instant nausea inducing for me. I don't know what it is. And they aren't really ladybugs. They're these Asian invader fake ladybugs. Anyway, I said something like, oh, another bug. Tristan immediately panicked, peed. I had to flush the ladybug, and so we had to start over again. And then the phone wouldn't rotate. You'd think by the time we got to iPhone 11, if the phone was sideways, it would record sideways, but you actually have to start up and then turn it. So anyway, in another note, but similar, I want to talk today about kindness, because kindness matters in every aspect of our lives with pets, our lives with humans, our lives with the planet, our lives with ourselves. And I was thinking a lot about this yesterday because I like to sit out on my front deck when it's like 55, 60, 65, or even sometimes 50. My front deck is so warm and tropical. I feel like I'm on a beach in Florida. So I love to lay out there and tan myself and read my book and listen to the kids playing across the street, which I convinced myself are kids playing in a pool. And I have a dog swimming pool that I can put up there and fill with water. It's just like living in New York City on your tiny deck. That's your outside world. So I love to be out there. But sometimes, because I want to not lock Tristan out there because it gets hot, I leave the door ajar, the screen, just like 4 inches. And every once in a while, I have these white-faced black wasps that live around my house, like bazillions of them. And they're supposedly really fierce and aggressive. According to the guy that took down the giant nest that was bigger than 2 baseballs when I moved in over my front door. And so they're around, and every once in a while a couple will scoot in. Well, the other day, coming down the stairs, I noticed that the stairwell window, which is about 6 by 4 feet, maybe 8 by 4 feet, it's huge, just had like 2 or 3 of them sitting in there way up high, 15, 20 feet. And I'm like, how am I going to get those out of here? Because you know, sleeping with a wasp buzzing around makes you a little nervous, especially if you read the stuff about how many spiders people eat. Ugh, I haven't eaten any. I can vouch for that. Anyway, so I got my long-handled squeegee, and I thought maybe I'd get them to crawl onto the squeegee, and then I'd throw them outside. Well, I ended up being able, for all of them but one, knock them down to the floor on the carpet, and then I got a little cup, scooped them up, and let them go outside. And I had this one who was just a little bugger, and he kept flying around the upstairs. He went into the 40-foot ceiling in the living room, and I'm like, well, that's it. I'll never see that one again. Nope. Finally, after a few more tries, his favorite thing was to go behind the many giant pictures I have in the hallway. Even he came down, fell behind, of all things, the Buddha statue in the stairwell, and was hanging out there waiting for me to get him. Crawled right in the cup, took him outside, easy peasy. Of course, then I had to clean up yet more dead ladybugs from behind the Buddha. But that's okay. Buddha's all clean and happy now. Everything's good. I sat down later to watch TV, and there were like 5 more wasps at the front window buzzing around. Again, 25 feet up. So I got the squeegee and a stool this time and knocked them all down and got them in a cup and let them go out. And it took, you know, it was a boisterous 10-15 minutes to get these like 20 guys out of the house, but it was not that long. And I thought, now what else do you do with a wasp? I don't want to kill them. So I was thinking that kindness matters. Kindness matters all the time, every day, because I really have a nice peace with these wasps. Their nests are all above where I lay on my deck. They buzz right by, crawl on my foot, walk off. I mean, I've never even had a moment's worry that they were going to sting me. And I'm a little afraid of wasp bites because my sister got attacked by like 20 when she was a little kid. It was awful. But so far in my life, knock on wood, wasps have been pretty nice to me. So why shouldn't I be nice to them? Now, in other times in my life when my house used to be invaded by mice where I lived before, I was nice, and my niceness was repaid by 10,000 mice tearing up everything and creating problems. And then when I moved out of that house, the population just exploded, and the guy had to have a couple of different exterminators come in there, and there's still a problem. Why? Because the foundation's not tight, because the house is 150 years old. Anyway, and now in this house, these Asian ladybug things, I forget what they're called, they invade my house every year, thousands of them. Thousands, and I pick up dead ones off the floor by the dozens, but I probably pick up 40 a day. That's what I do all day, every day, is pick up these bugs. So, you know, being nice to them has not necessarily helped me, and I can't kill them because the smell they emit just makes me feel so bad. So, wasps are scary. You get them with a fly swatter. See, I don't even own a fly swatter. My mom has like 10 because they used to live across from a dairy farm. So yeah, fly swattering, if I had one, I might have thought about it, but I don't have one. So I caught them and moved them, and they were they like, you know, sometimes with animals, these amazing things happen. With Linda Tellington, once she was working on, oh God, yes, a boa constrictor at the zoo in Boston, where my friend works now. And Joyce, the snake, had been curled up in a ball in a tank for like all of her life. And she was developing intestinal clogs. And she was dying when Linda met her. And the first thing Linda thought when she saw her was to take her out on the lawn, and, you know, they weigh hundreds of pounds, and had several keepers trying to move her, and then like stretch her out, and as Linda always says, let her go for a slither. And then she did what we call python lifts. Oh, it was a python, not a boa. Python lifts down her body, and she did a poo and was happy and lived happily ever after. But when she was done, and this picture is on one of Linda's oldest books that came out in the late 70s, Joyce, the python, came over and put her head like this. I mean, I could not do this. Linda has a much better rapport with them than I do. And put her head against Linda's forehead like that and like thanked her. So when I let these wasps yesterday go free, oh, yellow jackets, yeah, they're pretty mean. I've seen them attack a horse. Anyway, these guys, they buzz around kind of like a little fairy, and like I swear some of them even waved goodbye with their little legs and then flew off. And I was like, huh. And then my friend said that sometimes this type of wasp can make a swarm, and they will run after you if you run away from them. And I was like, interesting, because they did seem to know each other. It was almost as soon as I got the first one, he like said to the other ones, just go on the floor, we'll be outside. I don't know, but kindness really matters. Yesterday in the morning, I had to go to Walmart for one of my unkind things, which is to buy mothballs and ammonia to repel the you-know-whats, so I don't have to murder them. And as I'm sitting on my deck when I got home yesterday, actually, a little chipmunk was sitting there, baby chipmunk. Oh my God, so cute. They're like little hamsters. It's so cute. Oh, his fuzz was wrinkled, and he crawled right out from where the you-know-whats like to hide in the summer. And I thought, I cannot put mothballs out with that baby chipmunk around, because he's dumb. He might eat them. He's not very old. He doesn't know that he can't eat them. So thank God I got the ammonia too, because, you know, no animal's going to eat that, and it is really repellent for the you-know-whats. But when I was in Walmart, which was quite an adventure, our Walmart's huge, lots of people shop there. You had to wait in line for a long time to go in. Somebody in that store, though, had the genius idea to put like the vegetable plant starters where you're waiting, which is one of the things I wanted. So I'm picking them up as I'm going in. I got like 5 parsleys, 1 tomato because they never grow, a dill, and a couple of other little guys. So I'm carrying them in, and I get a clean-ish cart, but you know, who knows. So I go in there, and just like the first time I was in the grocery store when these things started to happen, Walmart has arrows in the aisle. They're just like a V with a line. You can't really tell what they are. They've been chewed up so much. And then to check out, I sympathize with them. They only had 2 checkers open. And this was at like 11:30 in the morning. And then they had the 4 self-check areas open if you had under 25 items. Well, as I looked around at the people going out, very nearly all of them had much more than 25 items, because ours doesn't have a full-on grocery store, but it's got a lot of things that you'd want, you know, that store well, like crackers and chips and cookies, a little bit of frozen food, no fresh veg of any kind, you know, all that kind of stuff people buy. Cheese Whiz, a little bit of dairy. I don't think they have eggs, but anyway, toilet paper they had a little of. So there was this one woman, older, pretty darn grumpy, big cart full of stuff, and I pretty quickly figured out the lines. I don't know, I have like line whispering skills, so I knew that this long line came out and went around the store. It was all for the 4 self-checkouts, and then there were 2 lines crossing that line for the checkers, and then those 2 lines merged around my line, and then you came forward one at a time to go to either of the checkers. So you weren't waiting in 2 lines for the checkers, you were technically waiting in 1. But the people hadn't figured that out, so there was a little problem with those 3 people coming from the 2 lines and crossing my line. This lady was like 2 lines back from the crossing, and she thought it was going to be her turn, and she got really upset. She's like, now what? Now what? We have to wear these masks and these gloves when we go out of the house. We can't do this, and we can't do that, all these rules, and I can't take it. I don't know what to do. And I stopped, because, you know, I'm waiting in line anyway. And she was just about to lose it. And I said, can I help you with something? Do you know where your line's going? Do you want to get in front of me? With her cart brimming over, and I had like, you know, 2 bottles of mothballs, 2 bottles of ammonia, and 4 plants. And she's like, oh. And I'm like, you know, I just have a couple things. And she said, no, I want to go to a checker. I don't like to self-check. And I said, all right, well, you're in the right line. You got to go over here. And she calmed right down as soon as somebody, because I literally had nothing else to do but wait in line, because the self-checkers weren't working very well, and people had way too much stuff and things that weren't going through, and people were scared, and it was a whole thing. And so, you know, what does it take to be nice to somebody in that circumstance? Pretty much nothing. Just to say, can I help you? She calmed right down. I mean, her face was red. She was getting ready to start screaming. And after what happened to that poor security guard that got killed at a Dollar General in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, someplace like that, I was like, we just can't get that upset right now. Things are going to be different for a long time. You just have to adjust. You just have to calm down, take a deep breath. So just like with a dog, I'm standing in line and I'm taking deep breaths in my nose and out my mouth through my mask to calm down this lady. And I could see her. She was a very big gal. You could see when she breathed in, her shoulders came up, and she breathed out, and she calmed down. So kindness really can change your life, change your day, change other people's lives. And of course, we all know about being kind to animals. You know, when we see other dogs and their person might not notice that they're tangled in the leash, and you say, you notice your dog's a little tangled up. Do you want me to help you? You know, they'll always let you. And of course, we're all kind to the little guys that we live with. This right, Biscuit, even though you have been a bit naughty this morning. Is that a tick on you? I don't know. Anyway, we're all kind to the animals that we live with and the animals in the world. And I think, you know, most of us who listen to me are going to be really kind to the animals around them. But sometimes it takes a little more reaching in to be kind to the people in your life. And they can be people that you don't even know. And right now, a lot of us are only having contact with complete strangers, aside from the people that you live with in your house. And finding kindness for them can be difficult too. And I'll never forget, you know, when Bernie used to ask these questions to start our meetings for people having cancer and also really debilitating illnesses. Some people were there with some pretty rough stuff. And so he said one time, you know, if you could have anything you want in the world, what would it be? And I don't know, 5 out of 25 people said, I wish people would be kinder to each other. Now, I, of course, said, and he's only had 2 people say this, I said, I want world peace, because that would mean we would be being kind to each other. That, to me, encompasses everything. You know, we would stop fighting, we would stop famine, we would stop everything. People would be in a much better place in the world if we had world peace. And, you know, but that it comes from kindness. So let's all try to have a little more kindness for others today, kindness to ourselves. Forgive yourself when you have problems. Forgive yourself when you say or do things that aren't quite what you wished that they had been. Forgive the people around you, and find a way to bring more kindness into your world every day, because it will make a difference. Your world will be a lot happier and a lot better, no matter what kind of work you do, no matter who you live with, no matter what your life is like. Finding places to bring kindness to the world will never steer you wrong. So think about kindness today when you have to cook things and do things for your family and get by with one piece of meat for 4 meals. Think kindly of the people that processed that meat and delivered it to you and raised those animals, because that's all we've got right now is our thoughts for kindness towards others. So thanks for joining us for this episode of Conversations with a Corgi. I want to have a shout out to Josie, who makes these great scarves for corgis. I love this little one. And he's getting another one to match his blanket. He's pretty excited about that one. And once again, it's the last minutes of that fabric that she has, but she's going to try to work something out to make it match your blankie. So thanks for joining us today. It's easier to be nice to animals. Have to remember to be patient and more kind to people. Danny, that is so true. And I know in the beginning with my dressage instructor, Lyndon Gray, who's a famous Olympic rider, she was really mean to people. Like when I went to have a lesson with her and I didn't cry, I was the only one who hadn't cried ever going to have a lesson with her. And it wasn't because I was a spectacular rider. It was because I live and breathe and am what I'm telling you. And when she would yell at me about something, I knew it was because she loved my horse and was trying to help my horse and make me a better person so that my horse wouldn't have to suffer with my bad signals and inept ability to communicate, etc. So, she and Linda Tellington, same thing, would be very angry at people because they weren't doing the right things with animals. And over the years, it's been 40 years now, both of them have understood, as we all should, that if you are nicer to people, they will be nicer to animals. And the world will be a better place for the animals too. There's a quote by Gandhi that says something like, you can measure the success of a civilization and how they treat their people by how they treat their animals. And I actually use it when I start my classes to remind people, because when you go around the room and ask people about why they came to this class, they'll be like, I love animals, I've loved animals my whole life. But if you leave people out of the equation, you cannot help animals. Education, that's why so many shelters now have trainers and animal behaviors and all kinds of outreach for people like me coming in to do T-Touch to help people understand their animals so that they can be kind to them, and so that they have education, and that you can work with the people, and that will make the animals' lives better. So it's so important to be nice to people. Right, Tristan? He's like, I'm nice to people all the time. They like me. I'm cute. I'm cute. All right, well, Tristan and I are going to have an adventure today. You had a trainer that made you cry. Yeah, in the 70s and 80s, every horse rider had trainers that made you cry. And if they weren't your riding instructor, they were your horse trainer, and what they did to your horse made you cry. I mean, it was just a different way of being then. And, thank God we've all evolved to understand that kindness is what gets you further. And, when my instructor used to say, your hands are moving, she expected me to fix it immediately. And it took me with 3 other people I was working with to say, I think your saddle is putting you out of balance. So instead of sitting like this, you're tipping forward, and that's making your hands move because you're like, you can't hold your balance. Different saddle, up straight, hands never moved again. Never again. But she didn't see that problem. She would have said sit up straight, but the fact that the saddle was putting me out of balance, she was not open to that at the time. She certainly is now. She's a fabulous instructor. I've watched her do lots of lessons in the last couple of years, and she's great. But we weren't all good when we started. So let's be kind today. Take some time to be kind to people. Forgive people in your past, like my instructor and some other instructors I've had. Every bad thing in my life has turned out to be a miraculous good thing. This too will be an amazing good thing for people, what we're going through now. And be kind. Take a lesson from our pets. So everybody have a great day. Be nice to people. Be kind. Be kind to yourself, though. Forgive yourself for getting impatient and tired and grumpy because we're stressed. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.